Hello everyone, myself Sowmya, Assistant Professor in CSE AIML Department, MLR Institute of Technology. In this video, we are going to discuss about define and access database in Flask. So coming to the overview of this presentation, we will discuss about the Flask SQLite 3 module and we will also discuss one example application about CRUD. So create, read, update and delete the database. So what is this SQLite module in the Python? So we can use this module SQLite 3 module in the Python to create the database web application. So till now we are we are developing the web applications but without using any database. So here we are using SQLite 3 module from the Python to support these files, to support these applications. So now what is this SQLite? So the name itself, it is telling it is a lightweight version of SQL. So generally we are not using any SQL, or it is not we are not using an existing MySQL server to store this data. So it doesn't contain any server to store the data. So generally SQLite will be useful to the small type of application. For example, if you are using mobile applications or if you are developing any small applications in the web server itself, websites itself, then we can go with the SQLite. But if you want to really existing a physical server, then you can use the MySQL. But SQLite is used for the lightweight version and it is useful for the small applications like mobile applications or any other applications. So now basically we are using this module to perform the basic 4 operations: CRUD, create, read, update and deleting the database things. So coming to the CRUD application in the Flask. So here first we are creating an employee.db. So one employee.database you are creating. So this .db file you can open in the SQLite software. So SQLite you can download from the Google or any browser and you can open this employee.db file to check the contents of it. But now in the program you are creating employee.db using some statements and you're doing all the operations into that DB, like inserting the data, deleting the data, updating the data, viewing the data. All these operations you're going to perform on this employee.db. But as it is a SQLite, so we are not going to check this table data in the MySQL server. If you really want to check this data, you can download the SQLite and you can upload this employee.db file over there and you can check the content over there. Now coming to the application, so this application contains so many other HTML files also. So we'll try to understand this. So now we are importing the Flask module. So from the Flask module, you are importing all the things, all the classes, all the packages, all the predefined libraries, and I'm also importing SQLite 3 module from the Python. Then after that, you are creating object for Flask. Now for the default root, I'm executing index method. This index method will open index5.html. Now after that we have one more root, that is /add, that is nothing but adding data to the table. So this add method will call add.html. Now we have one more root, that is /save details. After entering that, after entering the data into that, it should save that data into the table, right? So for that purpose, you are calling this method save details. So here in the save details, so message is initially message only. I am checking if the requested method is post, then retrieve all these details. So what are the details? Name, email, address. So these are the 3 details which are given by the HTML page. Which HTML page? Obviously add HTML page. All these HTMLs I'll discuss later after completing this program. Add.html will provide all these details. So after entering all these 3 details, add.html will also contain submit button. If you click on submit, it will go to the URL /save details. So what it is doing, it is retrieving all the details from that form. How to retrieve? Request.form of name, email, address. All these 3 details you are storing in the local variables, right? Next you are connecting to the database. How to connect? With SQLite 3 module .connect. It is connecting to employee1.db or employee.db. So here we are directly connecting to this DB, but I know we don't have any existing DB with this name. At that time, what it will do, it will create a new DB with this name. If it is existing, it will connect to that DB, but if it is not existing, then it will create a DB with this name and you are connecting, and that connecting information you're storing in a variable called con. Now, so con dot cursor. So cursor is used to execute your SQL commands, right? Inserting, deleting, all these commands. To execute that commands, you're using this cursor method. So con dot cursor method, whatever it is giving, again I'm storing in a variable called cur. Now cur dot execute. So what is the command you are executing here? Insert into student table. I am creating a student table with the fields name, email, address, and values also I am inserting here, question mark, question mark, question mark. So this is the syntax which is used by the SQLite, right? So insert into student. The student is containing 3 fields, and coming to the values, question marks, and these 3 question marks are what? First question mark is name, second question mark is email, third question mark is address, which are entered by the user. Now I know we don't have any table with the name student, but whenever you execute this insert query for the first time with this syntax, it will create automatically a table called student. If it is existing, it's fine. In that table only it will insert. If it is not existing, it will create a table with the name student with the fields name, email, and address. And it will also insert the values name, email, address which are given by the user. Now after performing the operation, call the con.commit to complete the action. And after that, you're displaying a message, employee successfully added. Now if there is an error, so exception, that is catch block, right? So con dot rollback. So we cannot add the employee to the list. If you are doing any mistake in the query writing or inserting the data, then you will get this message, we cannot add the employee to the list. And finally, whether you are executing the try block or catch block, finally what you're doing, it is redirecting to success.html by passing the message. We have 2 possible message here. It may be successfully ordered, or it may be a problem with adding. So that message will be transferred to the success.html, and there the final message will be displayed, and you're closing the connection. This is for adding the employees. Now /app, we are writing one more route for view. After adding, if you want to view the employees which you have added, then I'm using this URL, and for this URL, view method will be executed. So to display the content, first it should connect to the database. What is the database name? SQLite3.connect. It is employee1.db. Why? Because what is the database we have created here? Employee1.db. The same employee1.db you are connecting, and after that, you are fetching the row, right? I mean, you are taking the row data here. So con.row_factory SQLite3.row. So to fetch the details first, you need to write this row statement. Then after that, again you are writing con.cursor. Cursor will use to execute the queries. So cur.execute, select star from student. So I'm retrieving all the rows from the student table, right? So I'm fetching all the data, right? So rows already we have created, right? So cursor dot. So now cursor has executed this command, and now fetch all the details. I mean, fetch all the content which is returned by this student table that I'm storing in a rows, right? So this rows data, it may contain multiple rows of data. That rows I am sending to the HTML file called view.html. In the HTML file also, what is the variable name? Again, rows only, right? So this rows data will be sent to the HTML, and this HTML will also contain the same variable name rows. So this rows data, the HTML will display in the form of table. We will see what is view.html later. And after that, we are setting the route for deleting, right? So now this delete will directly go to a file called delete.html. So to delete the database, I mean to delete the table, it is redirecting to the delete.html. We will see what is this delete.html later. And after that, if you want to delete a particular record or particular row from the table, then here you are setting a route /delete record, right? So /delete record will read one value from the user ID from the user. So whenever it creates a table, so what are the values you have given in the table? Name, email, address. We didn't give any ID, but whenever it creates, a ID will be assigned to the each row. We can see in the viewing. So whenever you click on view option, it will display all the rows, right? So at that time you can check the ID. So with the ID value, you can delete a record. So for that purpose, you need to enter the ID in the form. So I want to delete a record with the ID 3. That ID will be retrieved like this. How it will retrieve? Request.form of the field name is ID. It will retrieve the ID and that ID will be stored to ID. So first you need to connect to the database. How to connect? SQLite tree.connect employee.db. This is employee1.db as con. Then call the cursor function con.cursor and execute the query. How to execute? Delete from student where ID is equal to question mark. What is this question mark? ID, comma, ID. So now, if it is successfully deleted, you are printing a message, record deleted successfully, except if you have any error, then it is displaying, it is giving a message, can't be deleted. Finally, whether you execute try block or catch block, finally, it is going to delete underscore record.html and where it is displaying the message. What is the message? It may be record successfully deleted or it may be can't be deleted. And finally, you are writing this. If you are having multiple applications, multiple Python applications, then the run method will start from the main application. Now coming to, we have different HTML files, right? Delete underscore record, delete file, delete HTML, success HTML, add HTML, view HTML. So we will see all those HTML files now. So the first one is index5.html. This is the default page. The first page it will display is index5.html. So here what we are getting, hi, welcome to the website we are getting first, and after that it is creating 3 hyperlinks for add employees, list records, delete record. So we don't have any option for deleting the table here. We are simply adding the employees, listing the record, deleting the record, right? So if you click on add employees, it will go to /add root, URL. And if you click on this list record, it will go to /view URL. And if you click on delete record, it will go to /delete URL, right? So coming to the add.html. So in the add.html, it will read the data from the user, which you want to read into the table. Of course, we have already created a table called student with the details, name, email and address. So now what it is doing in the body section, you are writing a form. Action is equal to save details. So whenever you enter all these details and after that if you click on button, where it will go to the URL /save details and you're using the method as post here. What you are reading? Name, email and address followed by submit button. If you click on submit, all these details will go to the URL /save details. And next is success.html. So if you have successfully added the data, then that what is this page /save details, it will redirect to success.html. So what this success.html is displaying? It is displaying a message. So what is this message? This message is passed by the Python application. So this message may be can't be added or successfully added. So after that, displaying that message, it is giving a hyperlink to view the employees. So after adding, if you want to view the employees, then it will give a hyperlink. So what is that hyperlink? View employees. It will go to view tab. So what is this view.html again? It will display all the contents of the table. So we have inserted the data into the student table. Now I want to display the content of student table. Then view.html will display the data. Now, so here we are creating a table and then we are creating headings ID, name, email and address. See, actually in the table we have created 3 fields only, name, email and address, but here we are also adding one more field, that is ID. Why? Because whenever you have created a table, it will also assign one ID to each row. So here percentile for row in rows. Why? Because if it contains multiple rows, we can't print all the rows of data at a time. So every time you're fetching one row and that row of data will be stored in row, right? So row is an array here. So row of the first value is ID, name, email, address. So all these values will be stored as a table data, but all these headings will be displayed as a table heading, and then you're closing the end for loop. So now this loop will be repeated for number of rows. If you are having 4 rows, then this loop will be repeated for 4 rows and the complete table of data will be displayed. So this is for view.html. And after that, after viewing that, it will also give one hyperlink, go back to home page. So if you click on this hyperlink, it will go back to home page. What is that home page? We have 3 hyperlinks. Like adding, viewing, deleting. Again, it go back to the home page. Now coming to the delete.html. So here we are displaying one message, remove employee from the list. So where it is reading employee ID from the user. So I already told you one ID will be assigned to each user, right? So ID will be given from the user. Then after that, you're clicking on submit. Whenever you click on submit, it will go to delete record URL. Now, what is this delete record HTML? So, it is simply printing the message. So, whenever the record is deleted, after that you may get 2 possible message. You successfully deleted or we can't delete. So, that message will be sent by the Python application and that message will be displayed here. After displaying that message, if you want to see the list, initially we have 4 rows of data. Now I have deleted 1 row of data. Now I want to see the remaining list. In that case, it will give a hyperlink here. Then view list. If you click on this view list, it will list out all the remaining rows of data. So we have multiple programs here, but the program is clear. So initially we are getting these 3 things: add employees, list records, delete records. For each and everything, we have 2 HTML files. So one is for adding in the sense reading data from the user, and after adding, it is redirecting to success.html. That means it is displaying a message whether you have added successfully or not. 2 HTML files. And for listing records, we have 1 HTML file, right? And for deleting, we have 2. So one is for deleting and the other for confirmation message whether you have deleted successfully or not. So that is delete record.html. So now coming to the output. So we have these 3 hyperlinks in the home page. If you click on add employees, this page you will get where it will read name, email, address from the user. And if you click on submit, it will go to save details, right? So after saving, you will get this message, employee successfully added, and you will get the message view employees. So if you click on this view employees, it will display like this. I have added these details. So the details which you have added will be displayed. And again, you're getting one hyperlink. If you click on go back to home page, again you will get the first page, this home page. Now, if I click on for deleting record, it will ask for the ID. If I give the ID, the record will be successfully deleted. If the ID is existing, then that will be deleted. Otherwise, you will get a message record can't be deleted. So, try to execute this. So, initially it will display index5.html. So, this is our application. So, I need to change here. So, I am giving emp.db here. So, then everywhere you should change it to emp.db only. So, in the program, in the PPT, we have discussed employee 1, right? So, here I change it to emp.db. So, this is a Python application. So, you need to save it in new folder. Then after that, we have so many files. Index 5 is the initial home page. You need to store it in templates folder because it is a HTML file. Then after that, adding. So, add.html. Then after adding, it will be redirected to success page. Then for viewing, will display the content in tabular format. Then after that, for deleting, so it will delete the record based on ID, and after deleting, we'll get the confirmation message using delete_record. All these are HTML files. Now we need to execute the Python application. So first change the directory to new, then activate the scripts. Now execute your application. Set Flask_app is equal to, our application name is crew.py, and run your application. You will get this I. So I am entering this default one. So for the default one, I am getting these three as a hyperlinks. If I click on add employee, so if I enter the details, I am getting employee successfully added, followed by view employees. So if I click on this view employees, so it is displaying the information which I have entered. So ID I have given, ID by default ID it has created as 4, name, email and address we have given. And I am also getting this hyperlink, go back to home page. Now it is again going back to the home page. Now if I click on record, it is asking for the employee ID. So if I give the employee ID as 4 and submit, see record successfully deleted. Now I want to check the list. See now the table is empty. Why? Because I have added only one row. So with the ID, the ID it has given as 4. With the 4 ID, I have deleted that row. So now the employee information is empty. Go back to empty page, and if I click on list record, again it will show the empty table. So that is about the Flask application connecting to the database. So it is using SQLite database where it will not use any MySQL server to insert the data. So through this program only you are inserting in the SQLite. So this is the output for this program. So in this video we have discussed about how to create an SQLite database in the Flask application. So how to perform different CRUD operations like creating, reading, deleting and updating the database from the Flask application. So we have seen the example application also. Thank you.